This is Fans on the Run, a podcast made by, for, and about Beatles fans. And now, here's your host, Ethan Alexanian.
Welcome. We're right back. We haven't left. In the span of the last 30 seconds, I have outroed the show, said, okay, I'm going to edit this right back in, and then now we're back to the show. We're back with Sam Wiles from Paul or Nothing. If you haven't listened to the first part, why are you listening to the second part, you absolute sadomasochist?
It's because they want the gossip on my least favourite album, I'm sure. But I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. Did we have any? Did we have a format going, or we're just going to keep on with this? Digressional format we're going through.
Yeah. Well, those are the best episodes, I feel.
Yes, I've got a couple of them that I just had to abandon the title, just go a conversation with Ken Michaels, because it just went nowhere.
This
quickly.
one, I've done that once before. But this one, it'll still fall under the Fans on the Run banner because I've already done the artwork.
Oh, the artwork is amazing. I sneak peeked a couple of my friends on my Instagram story with that, and my gosh, they're brilliant. Obviously, people listening to this now will be looking at the second one.
Yeah.
Is that for the Is that for the Young Boy single? Was it?
I think it's The World Tonight. It's one of them.
The World Tonight single.
One of them. They all look the same, just slightly
Obviously,
different color palette.
It's all come out recently. The Flaming Pie stuff. And it's great.
I'm looking forward to it because I spent $100 on an original copy of Off the Ground. And I don't want to have to spend another $150 on an original copy of Flaming Pie. So now I'm happy I can get the 2 LP version for $49.99.
Wow, is that how much a original Flaming Pie would set you back regularly?
I saw one once for $150 that I thought was a good deal.
Yeah, some days you would pay for that, but some days you wouldn't, I take it.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much you cost.
Oh, I'm glad he... I feel like in the past few years, McCartney's kind of gone a little overboard with the archive stuff and his releases. Like, Egypt Station was a clusterfuck. You have the album... You have the album that was exclusive to some stores, like Target. Then you have, the colored vinyl ones. Oh, you have the one that comes in the accordion sleeve. Oh, you got the Traveler's Edition. Oh, you got the digital exclusive. Oh, you get the suitcase.
Look, let's all just admit now, like adults, that it's just a con to get Paul to the number one spot and cheat the system. Like in the way that, my Mark Lewison Hornsey Road episode is one of my most downloaded ones because the words Mark Lewison are in the title. And if you pre-order 8 different versions of the album of Egypt Station to one address, that's 8 sales still. It's not just going to count the number of people who buy it.
Yeah.
And it artificially pushes Paul up. And a bit like Winston Churchill in the first election after World War II, there was a massive drop-off in the first week after Egypt Station hit shelves, and it was probably down to number 8 or 9 or something like that.
I bought exactly 1 copy of Egypt Station. I bought the bare bones vinyl version, not even the cool accordion one, because I didn't want to spend the 20 extra bucks. Because I couldn't be fucked, It's not a good album. It's not.
Oh my word! Just wash your mouth out with soap and water, young man. Respect your elders. What's going on?
Oh, go and drink battery acid. You
Happy with You, Dominoes, back in Brazil.
For you.
For you's great. Come on, baby, now. Bump. It's classic McCartney. If you don't like him being lame and dorky, then, you're not along for the full ride, I feel.
But the thing that really irritates me is that for Record Store Day last year, they come out with this Home Tonight.
Oh, terrible. 2 terrible songs.
Oh, are you fucking with me? I thought those were better than anything on the Egypt Station album. And
so many people over the Atlantic have said the same thing. And no, the best songs that were left off the album were Frank Sinatra's Party, Nothing for Free.
I also forgot to mention the Egypt Station Travelers Edition, which I think had 4 different versions of its own. At least.
Can't forget 62nd Street, which is a cracking little tune as well. Even though I am a big fan of Kanye, the auto-tune on Get Enough was even enough for me to not be quite taken by that track. Sadly.
You don't like auto-tune on modern solo Beatles releases. I take it you aren't a big fan of Ringo's output.
I don't listen to Ringo albums. I don't have enough time as it is. And
I don't have enough energy.
The best Ringo song is Living in Hope from the by the Ruttles. That's probably the best Ringo song that there is.
Yeah. Apart from the haunting ballad, When You Find the Girl of Your Dreams in the Arms of Some Scotsman from Hull. The haunting ballad.
Man, I love Ringo. He's one of the most influential drummers of all time. You know, without him, there wouldn't be putting towels inside of bass drums and stuff like that. And
putting tea towels on your toms.
Yeah, like, you know, in the sense that Seinfeld isn't funny because it invented all of the comedy tropes. A lot of people might not see Ringo as being that inventive, but that's because he invented all that basic stuff. That's just him bopping his head in the background.
Yeah.
And can we just appreciate the fact that he was, by a large margin to be the most popular Beatle for quite a while in many circles.
He was in the States, at least. Like, he was the most popular Beatle.
And, the fact that he loved country music and Western probably helped a massive way with that.
Yeah, although that album, what's it called? Boku's a Blues, god-awful.
Yeah, again, this has been parroted before, this opinion. I like the Ringo album. I like bits of Goodnight Vienna, and then the rest can quietly sit in the corner. I don't like Photograph, quite controversially. Loads of people love that tune. It's fine.
Do you like It Don't Come Easy?
That's fine. It's fine. It doesn't particularly rub me the right way or the wrong way. Gotta pay your dues.
The thing is, I think I like Goodnight Vienna so much because it sounds like a John Lennon thing.
Shamelessly so.
It reminds me of, especially the title track. It reminds me of Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
Oh, you mean the worst Lennon song?
Oh, fuck off.
Like, anyone who says that they can do the theme or the tune or the melody from that song is either a savant or a liar. It just doesn't exist. And whatever gets you through the night, it's all right. Like,
it's awesome.
Lennon and Elton John, that should have been a much better outcome. Like, in the way that people look at Ebony and Ivory for Paul, I view Whatever Gets You Through the Night in the exact same way.
Oh, man.
100%.
See, this is why you have a Paul McCartney podcast.
Well, yeah, because I like quality and quantity. I mean, I don't know how Glass Onion even had the courage to start a Lennon podcast. How many albums did he put out? Like 7? 6? Something like that. That's incredibly brave to try and stretch out a show in that way. For me,
I mean, why would you start a podcast about anyone other than the guy who did the soundtrack to Rupert and the Frog Song?
Oh, I mean, Lennon didn't do Thrillington, Yeah. I'm gonna remake one of my albums and just
remake it just like a month after I finish it.
Because it's that good.
Yeah.
And thank God he did it with Ram and not something like...
He did it with his best solo album.
100%.
Okay, that we can agree on.
Ram is easily... Yeah, go on.
This can bring me to a question. What is your favorite Paul McCartney album? Or I'll break it up into 2 categories. What's your favorite Paul McCartney album? Or, Okay, wait.
Well,
favorite
okay,
Paul
'cause-
McCartney album, favorite Wings album, and favorite anything else. So it could be Fireman, orchestral, what have you.
Well, in the other section, it has to be Twin Freaks. Twin Freaks is easily one of the most reinvigorating albums in McCartney's entire discography. I mean, we've just mentioned, Thrillington is him recreating a lot of his old songs, but this is him literally building them back up from the ground in incredibly interesting ways, especially like Live and Let Die, which is just when you were young, over and over and over and over again. Mumbo is a track that I detested for the longest time, and then I heard it on Twin Freaks, and my opinion was completely reversed. This album is so funky and experimental and interesting. It is able to rejuvenate so many of those McCartney tracks.
I need to familiarize myself with more of the Fireman stuff, because the only Fireman album I own is Electric Arguments.
Same. It's definitely a part that, as someone who, I want to get onto McCartney 2 in a moment, but, as someone who likes the weirder stuff in McCartney's oeuvre, it's definitely some of the most fertile ground to explore, shall we say.
Some people think McCartney is, the sappiest, dullest solo music, but he's also got the most experimental stuff out of all of them.
No, if you believe McCartney's the most boring Beatle, then you just haven't been doing your homework. Again, a lot of other people have said this, but albums like McCartney 2, which might be my favourite, it might just edge past Ram. Even though Ram is objectively better and has better songs, maybe a better phrase might be, I prefer the McCartney 2 sessions most of all.
Yeah.
More and more as I go through the show.
Check My Machine wasn't on the album.
No, but it was on the very expensive. Oh no, Secret Friend. Yeah, it was the B-side to Waterfalls. Then you got like Secret Friend, the B-side to Temporary Secretary. But then you got like the Richard Niles version of Blue Sway that came out on one of McCartney's more recent orchestral albums. Like, so much of the McCartney 2 era is just the most fun I've ever had listening to a brand new McCartney album. It's just so different, and it predicts so much of the musical scene that was about to come from the era, and he never gets enough credit for that. He never gets enough credit for being weird and strange and funny as well. Like, so many of his songs have such a unabashed joy to them. Like, no one else could have got away with everybody bogey, everybody. Come on, how can that not put a little smile on your face? And even some of his most annoyingly experimental tracks, like Creena Craw, they're still interesting to talk about, even if there is little to no musical joy to be had.
No. So, what's your favorite Wings album?
Wings?
I'll consider, Wildlife through Back to the Egg. What's your favorite one of those?
Well, Band on the Run's been overplayed in my life too much. I can't quite call it the favourite anymore. Wildlife and Red Rose Speedway are definite soft spots in my love for McCartney. There are so many tracks where I'm just powerless to them. I've listened to them so many times and in so many different contexts. Favourite Wings album? It's probably Wildlife, It's the one I go back to all the time. And
Really?
I listen to it in full. And I like an underdog story. And it's the ultimate Wings underdog story. It's Paul, releasing an album whilst chopping his left hand off, which is his mastery of the studio as an instrument. He's just going to go in there, do a couple of, Bob Dylan-esque quick takes and release whatever may come. And so many of, McCartney's other albums feature brilliant mistakes. And this is an album full of brilliant, if somewhat misguided, mistakes. I hated Mumbo at first. I can't live without it now. Take it, Tony! It's just all over the place in the most fun and exciting way. You can't be bored listening to Wildlife. Maybe,
I can.
6 minutes into Some People Never Know, maybe.
I can be bored listening to Wildlife. That's not a hard task.
What's wrong with that? Nothing,
Yeah. And what is your favorite McCartney album, not Wings, not with the Firemen.
Well, I mean, my favourite McCartney and Linda album will always be Ram. That's me that's me making sure I get Ram on the list.
Well, there's only one. You can hear the wheels in my head turning in real time.
Definitely.
As I just get that.
It's probably going to be McCartney 2. I'm probably going to choose McCartney 2, yeah.
I agree with you there. It's that tied with Ram.
And the cover photo's fantastic. I love the inner sleeve to that album where you see McCartney's kid just tugging on his T-shirt. And I love the familial aspect of Paul McCartney. I love that very welcoming.
I do too.
This is me, this is my life. You might not like it, but...
Oh, no, I like it.
With some acts, them being rich beyond your wildest dreams is quite off-putting. Like, I can't listen to a Bob Geldof or U2 album without that kind of like, so much of this is kind of weird. And, Paul doesn't always get away. Songs like Name and Address kind of feel a little bit tone deaf.
Yeah.
But... something like Mrs. Vanderbilt, it sounds like you're just there on the beach at the start of Jaws in a campfire, sing along with Paul McCartney. It's so fun. Mm-hmm. And when you listen to McCartney 2, you feel like you're just sat in his front parlour while he's messing around on a 4-track Struder. There's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your favourite Paul McCartney song?
Oh, this is so difficult.
Song that isn't Temporary Secretary.
Secretary. Where do I begin? What's my favourite one today? My favourite song today would probably be something like Atlantic Ocean, Take 1 from the Phil Ramone sessions, because it's because it's fresh. It's like in the same reason that Old Brown Shoe could be my favourite Beatles song today.
Don't get too ahead of yourself.
Just in the sense that whatever's fresh and newest in my mind, that's the one I'm going to be most excited about. Songs that I return to, though, this one from Flowers in the Dirt, Pretty Little Head, Press to Play, Through Our Love from Pipes of Peace, absolutely brilliant song. Ballroom Dancing, always had a soft spot for that one. Like, there's at least one song from each album that I could quite easily defend to the death and say is my favourite Paul McCartney song. Morse Moose and the Grey Goose, I've talked about to no end. Power Cut from the Red Rose Speedway medley. I Am Your Singer, the fantastic Paul and Linda duet. You probably don't like that one, but oh well.
It's not bad.
Maybe I'm Amazed, overplayed as far as I'm concerned. I've just heard it too much.
Which one do you like better, live or studio?
Studio, 100%. The live version is all over the place and he changes it unnecessarily, but no one else seems to agree with me on that one.
Here's another one. I don't understand why people like this, but do you like the studio or live version of Coming Up?
Oh, the live version's awful, and
I know.
I can't believe it even got, like... I would have just been happy with Lunchbox Odd Socks as the B-side. Mm-hmm. Boom, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, boom. Like, oh, cool, a little bit of Venus and Mars piano noodling from Paul. Count me in. I'll have some of that. But no, we've got to have Paul McCartney right at the end. It seems so self-serving. Oh. And so much of the end of Wings is Paul, like, doing cruel things to the band. Like, you've got to be on my next #1 single as a B-side, and you've got to be in the wonderful Christmas time music video, and you've got to do a Ringo album, and you've got to be on McGear and a Linda album. You've got to do all these things, do it. And then, I'm just not going to do a very lucrative Japanese tour that would set you all up for life. I mean, thank God Paul didn't do that Japanese tour, because then, Lawrence Duber probably wouldn't have to come on all these podcasts,
Yeah. Lawrence, if you're listening, and I know you are listening, you should come on the show.
Lawrence, you're the nicest man in podcasting.
You can reach me at fansontheRunpodcast@gmail.com. I will be waiting for your reply. Day in, day out.
One of my most embarrassing moments was talking to Lawrence, and I was like, oh, that song of yours that didn't make it, Cage. was like, oh shit, no, it's Maisie. Oh no. And he pointed it out, and I was like, I'm so sorry, Lawrence. I'm so sorry. And just as a little aside, Maisie is an absolutely fantastic track that he remade on one of his later instrumental albums. Cracking little tune. Don't know if I could have the heart to take off Baby's Request, but if you want to talk about getting rid of Again and Again and Again, the Denny Lane track, I reckon Maisie could have fit on Back to the Egg 100%.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite Beatles song? Oh, right. Wait, shit, I forgot to ask my other side of the Paul McCartney questions. What's your least favorite Paul McCartney song?
Oh, least favourite Paul McCartney song? Probably When the Night from Red Rose Speedway.
Okay.
It's just annoying. And when I first heard him say the moon was beautiful and yellow, I was like, oh God, the word fellow's going to come in the next 10 seconds. I can just feel it. It's one of those awful Paul McCartney rhymes. And true to form, made him a happy fellow. Fellow. I was like, oh no, Paul, this is the ultimate you phoning it in type track.
Yeah.
The note you never wrote has always stuck with me the wrong way. Again and again and again is quite rubbish, as is...
Do you have any controversial opinions, like songs that other people like that you can't stand?
Oh, I don't like the Rockestra theme. I don't like...
Really?
No More Lonely Nights can go suck an appendage. So many of his famous 80s singles I'm not a big fan of. I'm not all that taken aback by My Brave Face. I think it's fine. Back on My Feet and Once Upon a Long Ago are dreadful. But then, there are so many tracks of his that people cannot stand that I've got a little soft spot for. Cook of the House is amazing.
Oh, that's a great song.
It starts off with bacon being fried. What more do you want from a song? Get you hungry. To be fair, I love so many of the terrible Linda tracks. I love Seaside Woman, New Orleans, Wide Prairie. I love all those tracks with a passion.
What's your least favorite album? McCartney album? I'll lump the three categories just into one. Unless it's too hard, in which case you can pick one of each.
There hasn't been one that I've actively disliked with all that much vigour.
Driving Rain?
Haven't listened to it yet. It's not part of my chronology yet, I'm afraid.
Oh, you're going to get there.
Off the Ground, haven't quite got there just yet. It would probably be something like Wings at the Speed of Sound, perhaps. Just something that really hasn't stuck with me. Something that I don't listen to as an album. I'll just pick out the songs I like from that. Possibly, I'll probably go with Wings at the Speed of Sound. For some reason, I never seem to connect with Venus and Mars. And then just suddenly I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be Band on the Run Part 2.
Yeah.
And then you could enjoy it for what it is. You're like, oh my God, this actually might be in the top 3 of Wings' whole discography.
So, least favourite album, Wings at the Speed of Sound.
I don't think that's that controversial, do you?
No. I don't think
If you're a massive fan of Wings at the Speed of Sound, email me at paulmccartneypod@gmail.com.
I'm sure you'll get an email from Paul Sally.
Oh, look, Jimmy was great, but the album's fine.
He's coming on the show.
Well, make sure to ask him about the thing that didn't happen in that book by the author that we don't talk about.
Was it in that book, or was it in another book by a separate author?
It's mentioned in 100%.
Okay, don't say the name, because I'll have to say
Oh, no! You'll have to bleep that out.
I will.
It was in...
Oh, you
sorry.
fucker.
If we can do it, we can save the day. It's not about global warming, people. It's about Trump. Let's all admit that. Come on. I love that, Paul. Yeah, despite repeated warnings off Egypt Station, an album that you didn't particularly connect with.
No.
The penultimate track, despite repeated warnings, is clearly all about Trump. It has to be.
Yeah.
And I love that Paul wrote a song that is actually quite overtly political for once.
Yeah. I mean, did like that one.
He's probably going to end up doing a song called, close down wet meat markets in a few years now.
That'll be on McCartney 3, released later this year, recorded during lockdown.
If he doesn't release that, it's going to be such a blow to everyone's perception of what he does in his spare time. Oh no, he's written Hey Granddude 2 instead.
Hey Granddude 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, where, Granddude goes to the Ewok planet in Star Wars or something.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's going to test away these. And these are the Sand People. They travel in single file to hide their numbers. Well, Paul, we don't call them Sand People anymore. We call them Tusken Raiders, actually. Frozen Tusk,
Okay. What is
Although Frozen Tusk could also be a Fleetwood Mac reference as well, but...
Fleetwood Mac Christmas album. I'll quote John Mulaney. Fleetwood Mac, Rumours is an album made by and for people cheating on each other.
I believe they were going to thank their drug dealer in the liner notes of that album before he mysteriously died. That's another little conspiracy. Perhaps the record label had him offed.
Before he accepted a teaching post in Australia.
Perhaps. Yeah. The plot thickens, Perhaps Mal Evans knows what happened,
Yeah. Whoever the Ruddles equivalent is of Mal Evans.
Nothing will make me laugh more than Leggy Mountbatten.
Yeah.
and his autobiography, Cellar Full of Goys. Yeah. The Ruttles, a legend that would last a lunchtime.
Yeah. The Ruttles, a living legend. A living legend that will live long after lots of other living legends have died.
Oh,
I can quote the entire scene with the Michael Palin...
chasing the car.
The Derek Taylor character.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. No. The conjecture. Reports of the theft are greatly exaggerated.
And there's like a giant bear being wheeled off in the background and stuff.
I won't lie. Things have gone. The odd car belonging to the company has vanished. One morning I'd come in to find that my office had been nicked, but I found out that was by Ron Decline, who had been brought in to stop this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's so weird before you find, as an English viewer, before you find out that there is an SNL connection.
Yeah.
You're like, what the... Dan Aykroyd's in this? Bill Murray?
Bill Murray the K.
Jim Belushi's in this? What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you find out that Lorne pretty much got that one little skit from Rutland Weekend Television financed. Good on him.
Yeah. They were originally going to do it for BBC Two, but Lorne Michaels said, no, you'll get more money if you do it for NBC.
Of course.
So they based it out of New York, the production.
I mean, Another Day, not the McCartney version, but Another Day by Neil Innes is genuinely one of my favourite Paul McCartney songs.
I Must Be in Love is one of my favourite Beatles songs.
I feel good. I feel bad. Oh, it's brilliant.
That 12-string riff. Oh, God.
Nevertheless is a great George track as well.
It is.
It's not my cup of tea. Great little joke as well for those who watch the film.
In this day and age, love is all the rage.
Oh, but the fact that Bob Dylan introduced them to tea. I mean...
Yeah, I have had tea before. Lots of tea. Indian tea. And biscuits.
I can't believe Paul was upset with his portrayal in that film. It's Yoko's portrayed as the daughter of Hitler, and she laughed it off.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was Barry had also spent time in bed. He spent a year in... I don't remember what the quote was.
Trying to start a Barry is dead rumor.
A Barry is also dead rumor, or advice from a particularly bad accountant.
His original full name was Barry Womble, but had to be shortened down to Barry Wom. Love it. It's probably the best Beatles documentary ever made, and
I've said that before. I've said that. I've sent it to people saying, "Watch this and you'll get it."
Yeah. And I think George Harrison said that as well, that it's the best thing ever made about the Beatles, and he's really not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, Get Up and Go, you could just cut that into the new Peter Jackson documentary, and it would fit perfectly.
And then, how familiar are you with the second Ruddles album, Archaeology?
Now, I've flicked through it, and then I read that a lot of them are just Neil Innes songs that are like sang in Ruttlese, essentially. That's put me off slightly.
Don't let it put you off. It's a really good album.
Okay.
A lot of them are really, really good.
Is Shangri-La on that album?
Yes.
Yeah, I like Shangri-La. That's a very good song.
But again, that happened with the original Ruddles too. Like Blue Suede Schubert, I think, started off as just like a Neil Innes song.
Oh, I was thinking of Goose Step Mama then. I was thinking of Goose Step Mama. Again, it's quite a naughty song actually.
Yeah. Clumsy hands and knees that tremble. Blue Step Mama.
Oh yeah. I mean, people must have heard this a million times on a million other better Beatles podcasts. That's a reference to my show, not yours. And it's just the idea that when you've run out of Beatles albums, you can listen to the two Ruddles albums, and you've got two more Beatles albums, for better or worse. It's I can't remember who said it, but someone was asked, are Oasis better than the Beatles? And they're not even as good as the Ruddles.
Oh, I fucking hate Oasis.
Oh, I did.
Shine.
I did a huge poll on my Twitter at McCartneyPod, and I put who's better, Blur or Oasis, and one of my American listeners just sent me a little private message saying, "You do realise your audience is almost entirely American. They don't know who Blur is." And I was like, "Shit!" I just remembered that my entire audience is 50-year-old Americans from Wisconsin. Forgot. Oh no!
They're not going to know who Blur is, and they're certainly not going to fucking know who Pulp are.
Yeah, that not exactly a massive influence in Milwaukee, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean they are common people, but
Hey. No, in that same gig when we did, where I was the drummer for the school band, we did two Beatles songs. We did Drive My Car and Get Back, where I was on vocals. And as all of your listeners will know, I'm incredibly tone deaf. But as long as you just put a bit of a growl on your voice, you can get through Get Back.
Yeah.
But we also did The Importance of Being Idle, which is literally the only Oasis song that I like, and it's really good.
I can't look at a picture of either of the Gallagher brothers without thinking of this YouTube compilation that's like every time Oasis says shine, it's like shine.
That's funny.
Standing with his arms behind his back and his long green coat.
Whenever I look at the Gallagher brothers, I think of what I think of when I look at either Kid Rock or Kesha, just like, man, they need a wash. Like, I just want to scrub them. Obviously, I know Kesha's had a lot of troubles recently with her private life, but definitely kind of TikTok era Kesha.
Yeah.
My God, I just wanted to grab a soap and water, just clean her.
Just grab one of those like power washers.
Or like Pete Doherty back in the day as well.
Oh.
Definitely need a good scrub.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, whenever I look back at old Wings photos, I always think, God, Henry McCullough needed to comb his hair a bit. Needs to straighten up and fly right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did I already ask you what your favorite Beatles song was?
Oh yeah, I know. I didn't actually answer it.
I know. I didn't know if I had asked it.
I think you did. If not, you can always go back and edit it in there.
Yeah, apart from what I am editing for my own safety, there's not going to be much editing.
No, again, a little digression before I answer that question again. I spend more time editing episodes than I would ever like to admit. I will gladly take out every breath. I will gladly retake paragraph after paragraph of my script because I don't get the right intonation for a joke to work.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I think I might have said this in a past episode. I did an interview with Mark Lapidus, the founder for the Fest for Beatles fans.
Yes.
And at the start, he was talking about his daughter going out and protesting with the Black Lives Matter. And it was so early, well, in the day for me, it was like 11, but I had just woken up. And so I muttered this incoherent sentence about, like, something, we need change, and the change for the better. And at the end of that, I said, that didn't make any sense, did it? And he said, it kind of made sense. So I ended up re-recording that whole section with a more coherent statement.
Oh, no. I've actually gotten answers in some, not necessarily on the Paul or Nothing one, but definitely on my Tom Waits podcast, where I've re-recorded a new question based on the answer I've got to make it flow better. Like, I'll be like, that'd be a really good answer to a different question. So I'm going to go back and change the question. Definitely works well. Or, you know, you just get episodes with, like, me and Ken Michaels where it literally just... It starts off as a Pipes of Peace review episode before it just descends into, oh, which song of this album do you like? Oh, well, I like that one. Which song of this album do you like? And it just... You had to abandon the format immediately.
Oh, with this, I'm glad we at least went in knowing that there is no format this time. It's just kind of, you know, it's a train wreck.
No, I mean, you're more than welcome to edit this down into one single episode with all of the best bits.
Oh, no. When have I ever fucking done that? You've listened to my show. There's bits that suck.
Oh, you've got to start telling your guests to wear some bloody earphones, by the way. The Ken Womack one, I can hear you twice on that one. I'm like, Ken, put your earphones on, man.
That was the second episode recorded. And that was before I started saying, wear a pair of earbuds or earphones, headphones, whatever the fuck. I don't want it feeding back into my ears.
No, there are two types of podcasters. There are the ones who are professional Beatle fans, and they're the ones who are broadcasters. I'd probably put myself in the latter category. I'm probably better at talking than I am specifically talking about the Beatles necessarily, which is why I have a lot of fun with a lot of different topics on the show. Like I did a whole episode on Kanye. I love doing deep dive film reviews. Just coming at it from a filmic aspect. I don't think I fit into
either category. I'm not a professional Beatles fan, but again, I also don't think I'm a great host.
No, I mean, you know, only tapeworms can decide who really is a good host. Dude, I have a stutter. I can't listen back to my first episodes. I cringe incredibly. And then I'm like, oh no, but episode 1, which is only a third of the length of most of my current episodes with about a third of the detail and twice the stuttering, is going to be the one they all listen to first.
Well, I'll apologize because the one everyone listens to me, my first episode, I made the appalling choice of adding reverb to the vocals. So it sounds like it was recorded in a cave.
You sound like an American vinyl pressing of Revolver or something. Yeah, that's
I know.
What's he called? Dick something? The guy who
Dave Dexter Jr.
Dave Dexter Jr. I was thinking of Dick Lester again. I've got Dick on the brain.
Yeah.
That's what you come for, folks. When I did my Get Back, Let It Be talk, the guest I had on, Dylan Seavey, great musician and Beatles podcast guest, he was like, on no other podcast sound would we talk about rhombuses.
What was the context?
So, you know that quote from McCartney, I liken us to four sides of a square?
Yeah.
But I say I liken them to four sides of a rhombus. You know, an unequal square. It's one little bit for Ringo, a bigger bit for George, and then an almost isosceles triangle length of side for John and Paul. Low key, if you say that Lennon was the Beatles after, say, 65, I almost can't debate with you. Like, come on, we all know it was Paul.
Yeah.
My man Paul was the guy. He was the guy who... Look, Paul, you just want a job, don't you? Yeah, what's wrong with that, John? Like, what's wrong with hosting a Paul McCartney podcast in the vain hope that the BBC will recognise you and give you a slot on Radio 2. There's nothing wrong with, doing the art you love.
Radio 2? Also, that's a little optimistic.
I think I could definitely take Ken Bruce's spot in the morning. Definitely. No, but
I have no idea who that is, so I will take your word.
Very British regional reference there. Shout out to Ken Bruce in the morning. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I like the idea that Paul enjoyed being in the Beatles, and sometimes when I'm sat with all of my virtuoso musician friends who can all play Eruption by Van Halen like it was nothing, and my friend Ryan who can jam Black Betty by Ram Jam as if it was, Chains or something.
Yeah.
I have to sit there and just let them play. I can't particularly sing in key. I can sing if they want me to sing, but sometimes I just have to sit back and let them do some
I can
math
sing what
rock.
you want me to sing. If you don't want me to sing at all, I won't sing.
Look, I'll play whatever you want me to play, but if it'll make you happy,
Whatever that'll please you, I'll do it.
I have those conversations, and sometimes they say, Sam, sing You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC badly. At least it gives us something to keep in time to, But with my friends like that, I can sometimes see the frustration that George and John had with, this guy that we have to be in a band with, he's just so brilliant all the time. Can't he just stop being brilliant? But then you've got the quotes from Paul where he's like, apparently he'd take a step back, and then within a few minutes, one of them would just turn to Paul and go, come on, produce. I love that quote. It's like, he can just knock something out in 5 minutes if you want him to. Yeah. But then whenever he does that and knocks something out in 5 minutes for them to record, they always have a go at him for it, in the way that, Paul constantly asks for a new writing partner to give him harsh criticism. And then when he gives them harsh criticism, they normally coincidentally end up leaving the studio sessions in a couple of weeks. Not saying there's a pattern there or anything, but...
Did you answer the question, what is your favourite Beatles song?
Third time's the charm. My favourite Beatles song is probably... I'm probably going to get a bit of flack for this within my own social circle, but it's either a toss-up between Hey Bulldog from Yellow Submarine, which is the peak of the Beatles at their most brilliantly throwaway and frivolous, It's not them trying to do anything particularly heavy.
It's not meant to be another day in the life.
Definitely not. And yet it rocks harder than probably anything besides Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
George's solo where it's just... Ringo's drum part's great. Paul's bass, it's up there with the Rain bass line, I can't speak the technicalities of music theory, but I can express it through poor impressions like that. Yeah. And Hey Bulldog has all of that. And Lennon with that build up to the chorus, you can talk to me, like I can imagine that being massive in or being used in the grunge scene 30 years later. Yeah. I could see that totally being in some downplayed Seattle basement, just being droned out. Again, things like She's So Heavy, kind of looking forward towards that rock scene as well. Another one that could be my favourite in terms of the song I listen to the most and has the most historical resonance with me might be For No One from Revolver.
Okay.
Oh, no, carry on.
Yeah. That's to each their own.
I mean, well, come on. Whenever the Beatles do any subject, it's normally the best song about that subject ever. And of course, McCartney and the way he can capture the post-breakup blues. I mean, of course, you're still a very young man, and hopefully you haven't had your heart broken too many times by people you are attracted to. But when it does happen, and girls you've been chasing and been in relationships with, and it all comes to a horrible close. You have songs like For No One to fall back on when family and friends don't quite understand what the immeasurable pain that you're going through. And Paul just gets you. He puts his arm around you. Your day breaks, your mind aches. You're like, yeah, it does, Paul. It does. You're so right. And I can remember me and a friend of mine, we were at a party. We'd been drinking a little bit of Jameson's, and he just had a breakup. I just had a breakup. I put on For No One. And, that was like, what about the night we cried? That was the night that we cried as two young men, hopelessly single, hopelessly upset. If you want to talk about underrated Beatles songs, that's another conversation.
All right. What's your favorite underrated Beatles song? I'll throw mine in there. It's All Too Much.
Yes. Fantastic track. Oh,
I'm a big fan of the whole 60s psych scene, and it's the closest the Beatles got to, that kind of freak beat, LSD-infused mania.
It's also the only song where Harrison kind of writes it on guitar and organ and keys. Like, you can either tell, like, oh, George wrote this song on guitar. Oh, George wrote this song on the keys, like Circles or Don't Bother Me. Like, you can clearly tell on what instrument those songs were written on. But with It's All Too Much, it's got the of the guitar, but it's also got the and that's almost quite McCartney-esque, and the guitar's quite Lennon-y, and George is just playing to all the best sounds that the band can create at that time.
Too much.
Oh,
we're on the same wavelength here.
Gooble gobble, one of us. It's definitely got that kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But like that, like a lot of the songs I feel are underrated. It's those tracks that seem to have slipped through, unjustly so, the pop culture net, this pop culture sieve, as it were. Songs like I'll Be Back, Long, 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 Blue Jay Way. I've got a bit of a George thing
I
going.
love Blue Jay Way. Best song on the whole good. Magical Mystery Tour EP.
It's Your Mother Should Know and Fool on the Hill are both very good.
I like them, but I don't think they're actually. It's a toss-up between that and Flying.
Flying's, you know what? If you're talking about underrated tracks, that is definitely underrated. Come on.
I love that song so much. And especially towards the end where it just kind of dissolves into madness with just like the mellotrons and the flutes and the what have yous.
It's a nice bookend to that kind of Strawberry Fields sound that they were messing with from like late 66 to 67.
It's the mellotron.
That Paul messes around with brilliantly on that Chaos in the Creation live little show. This is the mellotron that we use on Strawberry Fields, and that's Elvis's bass guitar. It's I've got a lot of stuff. I'm a rich bastard.
I've got things.
This is the condom I nailed to the wall in Hamburg and set on fire. This is the vial that I took my sperm sample for with that girl from Germany. This is the egg that Jimmy McCulloch threw at the wall and got kicked out of the band for.
Yeah, this is the gun that Jimmy McCulloch held to my head.
This is the
allegedly.
This is the suitcase that I put a load of weed in. This is my baby's nappy that I put some more weed in.
Oh, what a fucking idiot, Paul. If you're gonna smuggle weed to Japan, don't put it at the top of the suitcase.
No, but just it's that rule, isn't it? The roadies carry it. Like that's the risk you take. And I guess Paul my
friend's not even a particularly big Beatles fan, but every now and then he just sends me those pictures of Paul in handcuffs, giving the thumbs up at the camera and smiling.
Oh, he took it. He took it well.
Oh yeah.
And I'm waiting for that little black book that he wrote in jail to come out and resurface one of these days.
Do you reckon it's still out there?
He's got it saved somewhere, like that Christmas album that he made for his family that hasn't been released.
Oh.
I think one of his kids, it might have been Stella, joked that once Paul goes, everything's coming out. So hopefully we'll get that. Hopefully we'll get the 12-minute cut of Dark Room that supposedly exists somewhere as well.
Oh, in the Beatles world, the famous 26-minute version of Ebony and Ivory.
What? 26? What? There's a 26 minute?
I'm fucking with you. And Helter Skelter.
I was going to say Helter Skelter, yeah.
Yeah. The 26-minute version of Ebony and Ivory, where it just goes full, hard rock, Helter Skelter style.
If it was the Acapulco oboe version, I probably wouldn't mind a 26-minute version of Ebony and Ivory, but...
Ebony and Ivory.
Oh, man. I wish Paul could have looked a little bit further ahead and really predicted heavy metal. Could you imagine if he'd have done something like One by Metallica or something like that?
Oh, God.
But with the vocals of Oh Darling, taking my sight, taking my dreams, taking my hearing. Paul just screaming, and after all that, Ringo, I got blisters on my fingers. Again, the first time I ever heard that track was Beatles Rock Band. I really hadn't explored a lot of the category, and that game introduced me to that. I Want You, She's So Heavy. Do You Want to Know a Secret? Octopus's Garden. Very influential.
I just want to ask, because we've been recording this for a while, how bad is my British accent? The northern one that I keep doing.
No, you did a different one on an earlier episode. It was more like a posh twit, and that was much better. I need to go back and find which episode that was for you.
Posh twit. I'm trying to. Yeah. Oh, I think I describe it as BBC newsreader.
Yeah,
yes.
kind of.
Welcome to the BBC World Service.
Yes, very much like that. And these four lads from Liverpool are making quite a stir across the pond.
Yeah. But, the one I kind of go to nowadays is this kind of, Yorkshire. Because I watched one too many clips of the Monty Python doing the Four Yorkshiremen sketch.
Well, I grew up, I lived in a cardboard box at Midlet Road, and we had a pile of cold gravel for breakfast, not even a pile of warm. You were lucky to have a room.
Yeah. We used to live in corridor.
We were all huddled in corner for fear of falling.
Luxury. We used to get up in morning, 10:30 at night, half an hour before we'd gone to bed.
Half an hour before we'd gone to bed.
Eat lump of poison, work 29 hours a day at Milan, pay mill owner to be there, and when we got home, Dad would strangle us and dance about on our grave, singing Hallelujah.
But do they believe you?
You try telling that to the young people of today, will they believe you? No.
Oh, no, what is the next generation going to say when we're in the pubs and bars complaining about Corona lockdown?
Shut up, you tossers.
They're going to be saying the exact same thing,
Yeah.
It was your generation that screwed us over.
Yeah. Which probably will be... Well, not my generation. Your generation, the millennials.
I'm talking about my generation. Oh my gosh. Have you asked me my least favourite Beatles song? I can't remember if I'm gonna try and steer this.
I'm getting there. What's your least favourite Beatles song? Saved from Annihilation.
Well, I could just try and annoy you and say Mr. Moonlight, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'd be really fucking annoyed.
Well, technically it's a cover as well, so it doesn't even count.
Yeah, it's just a cop-out.
I mean, the real culprits are the stinkers of B-sides that just no one can be bothered to remember from the early era, I'll Get You.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you.
Thank You, Girl.
Are you saying he's just trying to make me agitated?
Real dross that wouldn't even make it on with the Beatles. Just real lame duck stuff.
Okay, you're just trying to make me agitated, aren't you?
I understand the whole we don't really care about the B-side, that's where the rubbish goes. That's the era when the rubbish went on the B-side. Like they hadn't learned that, like, you know, We Can Work It Out can be better than Day Tripper. Yeah, just that. I mean, look, if we're going to be uber specific, I mean, the ultimate underrated Beatles track is actually Not Guilty, but that wasn't actually released. If we're going to be uber specific,
I'm still really upset that you were insulting Thank You Girl and I'll Get You.
I'll get you, oh yeah. I mean, come on, are you telling me that, like, Paul and John just didn't go into the back room and go, right, let's just bash out a generic Beatle vocal lick?
And you don't think they did that for She Loves You?
Yeah, but that's a decent A-side though. It's got a good rhythm to it. And it's got that opening Ringo drum line, which is just classic in itself. Like that. Come on.
I think Thank You Girl
really hit my finger quite hard then.
Oh, rest in peace. I think Thank You Girl has more going for it than From Me to You.
That's fair, but I've never really rated From Me to You all that much either.
I think I'll Get You is better than She Loves You. Like, I will put on the B-side more than the A-side. Because to me, it sounds so quintessentially early Beatles, and I love it. Like, it is so early Beatles, it hurts. Like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, I love that. No,
you can't convince me of that. But the real answer, Ethan, of course, there's only one real answer, and that always has to be, what's the new Mary Jane?
That sucks.
It's the only Beatles song that's actually upset me physically with how truly bad it was. I was like, oh, is this like a joke? Is this Lennon, like, trying to make them think he's not worth working with anymore? Like, I want to do Cold Turkey as the A-side, or What's the New Mary Jane as the B-side. Oh, John, I think I'm just going to release McCartney 1 and break up the band. Actually, I think that's the better choice. You know.
Oh God, that song is just not good. That's all.
And like,
pancakes,
chapatis and cream. It's what is going on
with apple and contract. God.
It's like. I host a Tom Waits podcast. I love anti-music and anti-climaxes and songs that are intentionally meant to be quite acerbic and grating and stark to the ear, but it's just bad. Like you know when George talks about "Don't Bother Me," like, oh, it's just a songwriting exercise. It's not that good. It's way better than What's the New Mary Jane. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a structure and a tune. You know, it's actually a song. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just like classic Lennon heroin crap, really, with What's the New Mary Jane.
Yeah. Remember, kids, don't do drugs.
Remember, kids, don't.
Unless you want to. Unless you want to.
Nah, there's the classic line from Love Actually. Kids, don't buy drugs. Become a celebrity and they give you them for free.
Oh, God. That's a song, or that's a movie I'm kind of sick of.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those quintessential, you watch it once a year films over here.
Well, and especially over here, because it's like, oh, it's so British. We all love it. And it grates.
Oh, the best part about that movie, though, is how taking a British accent over to an American bar immediately makes you notice.
Yeah.
It's a nice little fantasy moment for all us Brits watching.
Yeah.
100%.
But something kind of on that topic, which I just discovered Roy Wood a couple months ago. I know you only had to Google who Roy Wood is. But
possibly
his song, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, that he did with Wizard, I just discovered it, and I really, really like it. But apparently over there, it's like one of your big Christmas songs.
It's one of the Christmas songs, yeah. When the snowman brings the snow.
Oh, well, I just might like to know. It's I just heard it for the first time because it does not get played over here.
Do you not have those like terribly awful like every Christmas around here? You get these videos or TV shows, and it's like the 100 greatest Christmas songs or Christmas music videos, and you'll get Wizard, Slade, Boney M.
The Slade one you occasionally hear. I will defend the Boney M Christmas album to the death.
Where is boy child?
Jesus Christ.
It's the only Christmas song that's got balls to be religious. It's like, this is about a fucking guy named Jesus. You know, it's not about Santa Claus kissing your mum.
Like, over here, like, you have the songs from, like, the 50s. Like, you have some of the, like, Bing Crosby stuff from earlier. Yeah. You don't even have to go further than that.
No copyright strike for that one, folks. Yeah. I can do it in one note. You know, there's some of the Phil Spector Christmas stuff gets played. Christmas, or as I call it, the Goodfellas soundtrack.
But
Karen, I got the biggest, most expensive tree they had. Yeah.
What's the other one? Brenda Lee, like rocking around the Christmas tree. That one I love.
Of course, McCartney and Lennon.
Oh, that one.
To that.
That one is those two. Yeah, my friend works in retail, and he almost choked me one time. I put on "Wonderful Christmas Time," like he had my windpipe in his hand, and was slowly starting to compress.
I've never understood the hate for it. It's clearly really, really good. I think it was, it might have been Glass Onion or Nothing Is Real or Egg Pod, one of the 50 other podcasts I listen to. It's hard for them not all to blend together. But someone was talking about how...
This one doesn't blend in. This one doesn't blend into any other podcast.
100%.
Yeah. You're just saying that because you're on the show.
I mean... I've got to look after the bottom line, you know?
Yeah.
I can't remember who was talking about, but they were saying, if you strip away all the Christmas elements from the song, it's just a really good McCartney 2 session track, you know, just blow, 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 blow. You can play that song with one finger, I'm pretty sure.
Or what's again, I bring up Peter Serafinowicz. Have you ever seen the parody of Wonderful Christmas Time from him? It's like, Christmas night is here again, and we're all drinking wine. The lady or the men are all excited, the lady's looking fine. Let's all have a sexual Christmas night. Let's all have an erotic holy night.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, he spent 2 years in prison after that song came out.
I can't believe he was about to voice Paul McCartney in a remake of Yellow Submarine. That's one of the big what-ifs.
I interviewed the guy who played the motion capture for Paul in that movie.
Did they film any of it?
90% of the motion capture stuff was shot.
Jesus Christ, I didn't even know that.
It was done by the Fab Four band.
Oh, wow. And that was with, like, Zemeckis on set? Or...
yeah. And they also...
Oh, my God, Mars Needs Moms has ruined a Beatles legacy. That's so upsetting.
And same guy also did the mocap stuff for the Beatles Rock Band game. So when you see Paul in that game, that's him. Artie Saraf from the Fab Four. He was on episode number 7 of the show.
God, I've got so much homework at the end of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a lot of work to do. 100%. My gosh, I didn't know they'd actually filmed some of the stuff.
I didn't either.
Did they get Peter Dinklage to play the Nowhere Man? You know,
was that going to happen?
Well, it's a very offensive heightist joke, but you know, you know, or you could have got Warwick Davis to do it.
Yeah,
fine.
I'm not sure Warwick Davis is terribly busy right now.
I'm always happy that Warwick Davis here in the UK has a really bad game show called Tenable, And whenever you see an actor who's they're not A-list, but they're not minor character actor, and you know when you just see them in a project and you're like, I'm glad they're working.
Yeah.
Like whenever I see Elizabeth Debicki or something like that, just an actress that you don't see very often, be like, oh, I'm glad she's still doing stuff. Unlike Paul in films, speaking of walking out of films, I literally stayed in the cinema just to see Paul McCartney in Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and the moment his scene was over, I was out of there.
Oh God.
Even the inclusion of Maggie May could not make me like that movie.
God damn it. Oh, you just mentioned Maggie May, which made me think of Rod Stewart, which made me very angry because I hate Rod Stewart.
He's not very good. He's beloved in this country as
Why?
He's a sex symbol.
Sex
People love
symbol
his
for
voice.
What? Chlamydia?
No, just like he was he just got people going back in the day with his leopard skin pants and dad bod.
But in my opinion, he broke up my favorite band, apart from the Beatles, the Small Faces.
Well, the Small Faces also did a really shit cover of Maybe I'm Amazed, which I find unforgivable.
That's not the Small Faces.
That's just the Faces?
Yeah, after Steve Marriott left and joined and formed Humble Pie, they were left neutered, and then they did, the terrible cover of Maybe I'm Amazed.
The other one I need to check out, I've heard that the Moody Blues actually get really interesting after Denny Lane leaves.
Oh, their first album after he leaves is fantastic.
Is that like the concept psychedelic album?
Yeah, Days of Future Past.
What? That's the name of the best X-Men movie.
I know, it's spelled differently. It's not
How?
past, it's past. Like Passed.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It's the one with Tuesday Afternoon and Nights in White Satin.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. One of my favorite albums of all time.
It's always interesting that...
I only know one Moody Blues Denny Lane song, and he was only on one Moody Blues album, The Magnificent Moodies.
And that song would accompany him through Wings concerts right the way through the 70s, and it was normally a highlight for me. I loved whenever Go Now would come up. Absolutely loved it. Like, whenever you just heard those, we already said, everyone's going crazy straight away, and it's like, I love the fact that Paul was like, I'm not comfortable having Beatles songs in the set list, but we'll have a Moody Blues song and a Simon and Garfunkel song,
Yeah. Oh, God. What did you... Okay, you already said what your least favorite Beatles song was, and I'm very disappointed in your answer.
It's fine.
Yeah. What's your favorite Beatles album?
Favorite Beatles album? Harrison kind of spoke in this one quote. They kind of put a lot of things in context. And it's like, I always felt like Rubber Soul and Revolver were two halves of a double album. And I kind of get that, because it's my favourite transitionary part of Beatles lore, which is when it's like, it's going from stuff that your mom can listen to stuff that you can't talk to your parents about anymore because they just won't understand it.
Yeah. That's actually one of the best ways I've heard it described.
Yeah, like if you can put on a Beatles album and the whole family can listen to Beatles for Sale or A Hard Day's Night, but then you put on Revolver and you start getting Tomorrow Never Knows and She Said, your parents start looking at you as if you're smoking the old What's the New, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
the thing is, Tomorrow Never Knows is my mum's favourite Beatles song.
I've never been that taken with it. If I'm true, I kind of see it like a slightly more funky version.
And that's all from us today on Fans on the Run.
I get it, and it's one of the best recordings ever. Jeff Emerick's amazing. Blah 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 blah. I can't sing it to myself when I'm riding my bike in the middle of the country. I can't just get going. Turn off your mind, relax. For me, I prefer to go, Martha, my dear.
Yeah.
You ever? That's
What do you
me
mean
as a
you
Beatles
don't
fan.
bike through the country like humming the tape loops like
Oh, someone on your show called it seagulls. You know the
Yeah,
bit
I
there? It might have been you, I'm not sure.
I think it was
but
my Uncle Paul.
I'm pretty sure that's
Paul laughing.
Paul laughing, yeah. I mean, you are a good nephew. You didn't call him out on the show.
No. Well, it sounds like seagulls, though. Yeah.
Revolver, though.
I'm going to put on a headphone warning for this episode.
Oh, my impressions. Like, you know when you watch YouTube videos, you're like, why is this advert twice as loud as the rest of the video I'm watching?
Yeah.
That's kind of like my impressions.
I'll put a compressor on it. So.
Oh, I mean, there are so many outtakes of me just going, Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney. And then going, Denny Lane, you know, Birmingham, Denny Lane, you know, how's it going, Duck? So it's always been much easier to do like Harrison or Lennon because they're just so caustic in their scousness.
You know, George.
Fucking John Lennon and George Harrison. Just do that very
George
high
always sounded like he had a cold. Like, yeah, George Harrison, you know, from the Beatles.
Paul was 9 months older than me, and he was always 9 months older than me.
Well, Paul, you have to talk like this, you know. You have to
Paul's a bit brummy, though. If you do the Birmingham accent, Paul kind of sounds a bit Birmingham, you know.
Yeah. A bit, you know.
If you scratch your right nostril, it helps in doing the Paul McCartney impression.
That's
Trust me,
kind
if
of
you
what
go,
I'm doing, you know.
you scratch your nose like that, because it brings your face down a bit.
Yeah.
You have to. So everyone, if you can tighten your top lip and then bring your lower jaw down, and it makes the Paul McCartney sound, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, you know.
And you know, I always just sniff a big red flower and I go, lovey love, I love you.
And all you have
lovey
to do,
love.
and every second word has to be, you know.
You know, yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know.
You know.
Like we were the Beatles.
No, you really have to. So when I do McCartney quotes, like all my quotes will always be in italics, but the amount of ellipses and commas when you actually break down how a Paul McCartney quote would be spelled out in reality rather than just on the page, you know, you've really got to take a red pen to a lot of it. You're like, this has been transcribed to make Paul sound like a human, and I know that this is not that eloquent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, with me and Elvis, you know, like, you know, yeah, you know, Elvis is like John, you know, yeah, you know, and then we did Flowers in the Dirt, you know, like, yeah, you know. That's how he talks, and he doesn't want that to ever come across.
Do you want to hear the greatest thing ever? I've memorized this. This is a serious message to everybody watching my update. Right now, peace and love, peace and love. I want to tell you, please, after the 20th of October...
I will not be signing anything.
Do not sign any more fan mail to any address you have. Nothing will be signed after the 20th of October. If that has a date on the envelope, it's gonna be tossed. I'm warning you with peace and love. I have too much to do, so no more fan mail. Thank you, and no objects to be signed, nothing. Anyways, peace and love, peace and love.
I'm too busy training another drummer to do all the drumming for me. Why don't I just come on stage with a mic? I don't know.
I've memorized that because that's my favorite video on the internet.
The one I need to memorize is No Meat Mondays. No Meat Mondays. That's the best cringeworthy McCartney clip there is. Or maybe him making mashed potatoes.
Oh, that one's fantastic.
I'm one of the few people that likes the Mary Had a Little Lamb, both the song and the music video. I think they're both great.
Do you know?
They were singing la 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 la. It's so gooey crap McCartney. How can you not resist that?
What is your least favorite Beatles album?
It's with the Beatles. 100% instantly.
I can tell from talking to you, you don't like the early Beatles very much.
No. A Hard Day's Night is in my top 3, and it's got... A Hard Day's Night is brilliant because it's like, it's all Lennon and McCartney, and Paul only did 3 songs, and they're the best 3 songs, except for maybe like If I Fell. Paul is so good on that album. It's so invigorating how he manages to keep up with Lennon's massive output by just going to the quality side, which he rarely ever does again in their whole continuity. But just going back to With the Beatles, I mean, again, another opinion that's probably been spouted before by cleverer men than I, but it's just Please Please Me Part 2, isn't it?
Well, I don't like Please Please Me as an album.
I kind of get that. It's probably my number 2 least favourite one.
To me,
I do have a soft spot for Chains, though.
I do like Chains. I love P.S. I Love You. And that's, you know what, and Anna, I love I Saw Her Standing There.
You're not a big Twist and Shout guy?
No, I've heard that one too much.
Well, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with it as well, actually, because Twist and Shout is the go-to song for unimaginative club DJs in the Midlands where I live. There was an awful club at my uni called Planet, and it was a rock club. And downstairs you had more like pop rock, and upstairs you had more like heavy metal and stuff like that. But if you were lucky enough for the DJ to recognise that you existed, oh mate, come on, please, man, I'm really pissed. Can I have a Beatles song on? Go on then. It would always, without question, be Twist and Shout, because the DJ's going, right, what do all these losers who like Good Charlotte and Papa Roach know about the Beatles?
Papa Roach.
Oh, no, every night it was Last Resort by Papa Roach, Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous by Good Charlotte, followed by Tainted Love by Marilyn Manson. Then you'd ask for a more modern song. It would always be I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor by the Arctic Monkeys. It was just the same terrible track list every night.
Fucking but you went Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, or as I call it, regional rock, where it's just I've got an accent and then I'm going to do it, and that's all we've got really going. There was an artist in the UK called Kate Nash, and she just sang everything like that, and it was really fucking annoying. Ugh, stop doing that. But yeah, you know, with the Beatles, the Beatles are known for evolving so fast, and the lack of progression between Please Please Me and With the Beatles is very noticeable, and it's the least impressive impression on my mind, I guess.
You know what? You didn't say Beatles for Sale, so I'm happy.
Oh, again, that's the obvious one, isn't it? Oh, they're tired on the front. We know!
But I love that album. I love it.
And
Babies in Black.
Babies in Black. I'll Follow the Sun.
Everyone's trying to be my baby.
What you're doing as well.
And of
I'm a loser. No reply. Come on.
No reply. Oh my God. No reply.
This happened once before.
No, I don't. The thing is, I never gave that song a fair shake. And then one day I was listening for an extended period of time, and then I got to the If I Were You.
That middle eight. Oh.
And now it's one of my favorite Beatles songs.
It's one of those James Brown Beatles songs where you're like, take me to the bridge.
Yeah. Speaking of James Brown, have you ever seen that CNN interview with him? Where he's...
Man, I'm going to make music. I like music and making love. Man, I haven't done cocaine.
He's just coked out of his mind trying to dodge abuse allegations.
Yeah. I just want to talk about songs. You know, Sex Machine, Take Me to the Bridge, Papa's got a brand new bag. Man, I love music. It's so good.
It's a man's world.
Yeah, it's a man's world. He's got giant sunglasses on.
And then dripping sweat.
And then he takes them off, and you're like, Jesus.
And then he stands up, and then once the interview's done, he's like, wait a minute, I just got here. Oh, God. I love... You know what I've been listening to lately? Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh, I can't remember his name, but the bassist for Sly and the Family Stone is so good.
Boom laka 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 boom laka 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 boom 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 boom. The Woodstock version of "I Want to Take You Higher" is phenomenal.
I only found out it's so bad. I only really found out about Sly and the Family Stone because of the Tom Tom Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like again, finding out about black music via white people. It's a bit of a running theme throughout my life. I found out about rock through the Beatles. I found out about rap through Eminem. It's a very privileged musical background.
I take it you're more of a Talking Heads fan than I thought, because you mentioned them earlier, but now you're mentioning the Tom Tom Club.
Tom Tom Club is probably the third best Talking Heads album.
What are the best two?
The best one is Fear of Music, followed by Remain in Light, then Tom Tom Club, then Speaking in Tongues.
Yeah.
Oh, David Byrne is my favourite insane person. Yeah. I love it.
You may ask yourself,
how did I get here? This is not my beautiful wife. Yeah. And it's like, oh, he just doesn't understand basic human emotions. I get it now. Right.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may ask yourself, how do I work this?
Again, like the Beatles, though, Talking Heads is just like, oh shit, the rhythm section of this band is killer. Like, forget about the guitarists and the producers. Tina Weymouth and Chris Frantz, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr.
Bit of a connection. Tina and Paul both played Hofner basses. Different models, but same Hofner.
Was Tina's a Hofner, was it?
She played a Hofner club bass I've seen in some video. I think she played a Hofner club in Stop Making Sense.
Oh, a.k.a. the best concert film ever made.
Of course.
Can you believe that it took them till the early 90s to do the lead singer comes on first, then another member of the band, then another member of the band. Like, that seems so obvious. Like, oh wow, I can't believe they hadn't already done that. Yeah. And how many live albums can say it's got more than one version of a song that's better than the album version? Right. Life During Wartime.
Burning Down the House.
Slippery People. Jesus Christ.
Making Flippy Floppy.
One of my favourite titles to any song ever.
Yeah.
That is a great song to pair with Eat at Home, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Talking Heads, I am going to do a podcast on that at some point. Me and my friend Tom, we've already got the Twitter handle for it. We've got the email account. We've got the Facebook page years in advance.
If you want me on the Talking Heads pod, I'll come on.
Well, we're going to call it Talking Heads. That's all we know so far. It's the best. Again, we didn't know we were going to do a Tom Waits podcast till I said, let's just call it Down in the Hole.
Yeah.
And bam, it just fell into place. Paul or Nothing, though, originally it was going to be called possibly...
Ooh, we're getting an insight here, folks.
Yeah, it was possibly going to... there were a couple of names going about. Paul Bearer was going to be one of them. They were all Paul puns.
You know, if you hadn't already...
Paul Together Now was another one. Yeah.
If you already hadn't done an episode or 3 on the Paul is Dead rumor, I would have loved to have done one on that.
Yeah, I mean...
I can talk about that for ages.
You're not allowed to be a Beatles fan and say, oh, I'm not interested in Paul is Dead, it's boring, it doesn't add anything to the story. No, it's great to talk about how even crazy, delusional psychopaths like the Beatles as well.
Yeah.
And, come on.
The thing is,
it's fun.
What I did during the quarantine, before I started the podcast, is I did the cover, and I whipped up a compilation of Paul is Dead novelty songs, and I even created new musical interludes between the songs. I was going to call it Who Buried Paul McCartney.
So one of them would have been Saint Paul by what's his name?
By Terry something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go back and check out my 3-part series on Paul is Dead, which is the most... I don't mean to toot my own horn. I think my Tug of War episode's pretty good, and my 3-part look into Paul is Dead.
I have the list in front of me right now. It's St. Paul by Terry Knight, Brother Paul by Billy Shears and the All-Americans, So Long Paul by Werbley Finster, who I think is... actually, I think I have that wrong. Yeah, no, that's right. The Ballad of Paul by the Mystery Tour. That's my favorite. The Ballad of Paul by the Mystery Tour. That song is just... It's the least subtle thing you could ever do.
I'm more of a fan of Everyday Chemistry, the fake Beatle album that came from another dimension. You know what, though? I haven't done that or Klaatu, so you can probably come on and talk about them.
Oh, I love Klaatu. Well, I'm Canadian, so
Course.
Klaatu is from Toronto.
Klaatu, Baronicto, it's all there.
Yeah.
No, I love the Paul is Dead stuff, and again, just to toot my own horn, I have all of the clues on my 3 episodes. So many of the shows, they just talk about the clues and don't play the clips, but they're all there on mine. Again, soon to be pulled off the stream, so listen to it while you can, folks.
Yeah. Before it goes back into the Disney vault.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't wait till we get an episode of The Mandalorian where, you know, he has to kidnap the ruby ring for Ringo or something, you know.
One last question. Why do the Beatles still matter?
Because they're better than anything that's come out since, unfortunately. It's such a simple answer, and it's a bit of a trite answer as well, but nothing has come close. No band has been able to get better and better and better with each release. Queen came pretty close. Michael Jackson came pretty close.
I'd have to disagree with you on Queen. I think...
No, the Beatles would have benefited a lot by having some really camp 80s club albums during the middle of their career that no one remembers.
You think so?
No, of course not. But in terms of like that kind of worldwide appeal and every member of the band is capable of writing a #1 hit.
Yeah.
That
Roger Taylor from Queen with I'm in Love with My Car.
A highly derided song that I quite like, actually. I think he did We Will Rock You as well. You know, all of the... I think they are the only band... I don't think even the Beatles have this accolade. They're the only band where every member of the group has written a #1.
Oh, I think the Beatles have.
Did Ringo write a #1?
Oh. He had a solo #1, but...
Yeah. It's the thing, isn't it?
Because Don't Pass Me By or Octopus's Garden weren't released as singles here.
No. Or anywhere, hopefully.
I think probably there is some
weird,
like
a Swedish, Norwegian...
Yeah. Like places where they released Obla Di Obla Da as a single and Not by the Marmalade.
No, I think Ringo had a writing credit on Flying and What Goes On as well, though.
Yeah. Oh! What Goes On? Was that... I think that was a single.
Maybe a B-side.
It was... I think it was the B-side to the American Nowhere Man single.
Again, that's a song I've never been too strongly drawn to either. It's probably my lowest point in the Yellow Submarine film in terms of songs.
Really?
It's just a good thing that the visuals are so fantastic during that scene.
Okay, yes. Ringo technically did appear as a songwriter on a #1 single.
Oh, but the B-side... See, I've never understood this. The B-side or the A-side, how do they know what I listen to unless you've got some sort of Orwellian phonograph, you know?
Well, it's just the single itself reached #1 on the U.S. Record World 100 charts, although it only reached #2 and 3 in Billboard and Cashbox, but it was #1 here in Canada on the RPM singles chart.
Oh, I mean, Ethan, in the way that you should never underestimate how little of a shit British people give about SNL, never underestimate how little British people know about what Billboard is or the Rock 100 or this chart or that chart. Mm-hmm. It's just have one chart, America, please. It would make things so much simpler. They
had just, like, all those charts in the 60s, but you guys were fucking guilty of that, too. You had, like, 4 different charts.
Yeah, but I wasn't alive back then, so I'm gonna pass the buck on that one. You had, like,
the Melody Maker, the, you know, NME, I think, had a singles chart.
Hey, without Melody Maker, we wouldn't have some of the best bitching of all time, so...
Yeah. Without the NME, you wouldn't have a bunch of pretentious pricks going around saying that the Smiths are actually worth anything.
This Charming Man's pretty good. That's a pretty nice track.
The Smiths have been completely ruined by Morrissey.
What, you mean by his right-wing fascism?
Yeah. No, the other thing.
Oh, that's just just being a general prick in general. Yeah, it doesn't help.
It's the fucking fascism.
My gosh.
And plus his voice
I
sounds like
reading
nails on a chalkboard. Like, my friend really likes Johnny Marr. He does not like the Smiths.
Yeah,
He's forced to listen to Morrissey sing. To hear, like, the guitar riff. Like, something like that. I couldn't give a shit.
That was the very first album that was ever bought for me, the Smiths album that has that song. Can't remember the name of the album, but it's lovely and big and blue.
Is it Meat is Murder?
Man, look something on computer again.
I've been doing that this whole show, too.
This charming man. Oh no, it's just off the self-titled album in '84, The Smiths.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Cracking quiff, though. Can never take that away from the man.
Yeah. I think that should be on your tombstone. Inverted commas. Cracking
on
quiff.
that note. No, you know when Paul's talking about George in a slightly problematic way in the documentary Living in the Material World, his hair was like a fucking turban.
Yeah.
Like a fucking turban.
Yeah.
And I was like, to me, Paul, it was more like an onion.
Yeah.
He was the Onion Knight Sir Davos, you know?
Was that a fucking Doctor Who reference?
No, that's a Game of Thrones reference.
I just heard Davros.
Oh, no, Sir Davos. Played by Liam Cunningham in the terrible Game of Thrones TV series.
Well, we have successfully rambled now for 3 hours.
We've spoken about a lot of stuff there, Ethan.
We've talked more talk, so to speak.
We've chatted more chat. I don't do short conversations.
Yeah.
You know, in the way that Paul speaks about, you know, it's the Beatles' White Album, shut up. I'm like, you know, this is a chat with Sam from Paul. Nothing, shut up. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah. So it's my favorite part of the show. I'm going to turn it over to you and let you plug, because all your plugs were in part 1. You got to plug for everyone in part 2 now.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Ethan. I mean, look, folks, if I haven't completely put you off with all of my rude jokes and swearing and digressions, you can come
trust me, if they have issues with that, they would not be listening to this show.
Although, Ethan, I felt very old when I found out you were only 17. I was like, oh, my shtick's gone.
Yeah, eat shit, boomer.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I am a little bit older, but at least I don't know what Ben 10 is, so... You know, I mean, do you play Fortnite? Do you do Fortnite dances on TikTok?
Fuck no.
Do you have fidget spinners and Heelys?
Not Heelys, but I did own a fidget spinner.
Oh, I bet you like Pickle Rick, don't you? You fuck.
No, I hate that show with a passion.
No, I'd love Rick and Morty if it was if the fan base was about a third of the size.
It ruined the show for me. You know, like seeing those videos of people like, we want Szechuan sauce.
Oh, the McDonald's video. Yeah. You know, like could you imagine if just every single Paul McCartney fan did the thumbs up photo whenever they bought an album? Like, oh no, guys, stop! Please don't do that. No.
Everyone. You shouldn't be listening to either of us. Go listen to Talk More Talk. Those people actually know what they're doing. Most of them. I'm not going to say which ones don't.
Not all of it's good. A lot of Paul McCartney's work is bad, and you can hear me talk about that on my show. I slag off the Beatles. I slag off Tom Waits on my Tom Waits show. And
I slag off the Beatles all the fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, not everything they did was good.
I'm not a sycophant.
No, and I'm frankly sick of sycophants, and you know, look, of course, in the way that you really shouldn't break down, which of Theo Von and Joey Diaz and Joe Rogan's stories are real and how much of it is embellished. Don't try and figure out how much of my Beatle opinions is me slightly overemphasizing stuff for comedic effect. You know, the base opinions are still there. You know, I genuinely do think Let It Be is the best Beatles film, but I might defend it with a little more vigour than I might do in reality, you know?
Yeah. And I know that Help is the best Beatles movie.
Oh no, but it's not, though. It's... Oh, God.
You get one fucking film degree, and then suddenly... no one else is allowed to like other movies.
You know, it's like as Michael Caine says in Italian Job, it's all about teamwork, right? Which means do exactly what I say.
And national treasure.
You're allowed to have Beatles opinions as long as they're the exact same one as mine.
Yeah. I think that goes... Like, everyone thinks they have different Beatles opinions, but they don't.
No, I mean, if you anyone who thinks that, you know, liking Abbey Road is unique as your favourite album, you know, just go and listen to the other 9,000 other people that have said, oh, it's the most modern sounding one, blah, 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 the medley's great. That's been done to death. And, you know, absorbing as much Beatles podcasting stuff as I do, I sometimes get a little paranoid, you know, am I absorbing too much of it? What percentage of my opinions are my own? And, you know, how much of my content is me auto-generating? But you learn so much. Like, I've learned so much recently from Fabcast and Another Kind of Mind, or BC The Beatles did a fantastic Pride episode for Pride Month recently. You know, and then there are shows that have fallen by the wayside, like A Submarine That Is Yellow, that I was really looking forward to seeing that take off, and then just, you know, as with so many podcasts, they just fall by the wayside, unfortunately.
Unlike this show, which will go forever.
Yeah, because there are so many Beatles podcasts that you will literally never run out of guests to have on.
No. Oh, I don't just interview other Beatles podcast people. You've had Bedford on and Scott Erickson and stuff. Great episodes, of course. But just the idea that there's not a shortage of Beatles guests, whether they host or just professional book Beatles
vloggers.
Fans, like, I don't care if they're famous, well known. As if you're a Beatles fan and you're passionate, you're eligible for the show.
Oh no, I mean, like, I've heard like 8 interviews with Chip Madinger over the last year. I'll hear another 3. I don't give a fuck. I'll gladly plug that same book again. Do it. Yeah, I guess I'll do my plugs then.
Yeah.
You can find me
Plug more plug.
Plug more plug. I host Paul or Nothing. You can just look that up on Google or whatever search engine. I don't know if people still use Ask Jeeves. I don't know.
I checked. My friends and I wanted to ask Jeeves something, and Jeeves no longer exists. It's tragic.
Interesting. God, I am that old. Although I do remember seeing Spider-Man use Bing at one point, which was very funny.
Was that the same Spider-Man movie where he was walking through and giving people like the finger guns?
No, it was Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man 1, I believe.
Oh.
I was actually stuck in Liverpool for a whole day because my friend said he was getting the 9 o'clock train. So I got the 9 p.m. train and he got the 9 a.m. train. And I literally had to go to like 2 Beatles museums and go and see The Amazing Spider-Man just to pass the time.
Which Beatles? When was this?
Oh, this would have been about 6 years ago.
Okay, so there was just the Beatles story.
Yes, and it's right next to the Slavery Museum in Liverpool, which is, again, another really fantastic place to visit. It's quite near the Tate, which was the worst art gallery I've ever fucking been to. The Liverpool History Museum as well, fantastic. Look, dude, if you drop me off somewhere and there's some museums with low to free costs for entry, I'll see you at dinner time. Like that'll keep me going all day, 100%. But there has been a Beatles museum that's particularly impressed me, shall we say? In the same way that there hasn't been a Beatles TV documentary that's impressed me, you know.
Not impressed by the anthology?
That to me is
Propaganda.
I've always loved it. I've always loved the anthology, but that's because I've never had ready access to them. Mm-hmm. It's like, ooh, there's this illegal streaming site that I don't have to get an account for. I don't have to download anything. They're streaming it for free. Ooh, I best watch it now, quick before it goes. MPL's on the sniff.
Last year, I finally bit the bullet and got a DVD copy of Anthology.
My gosh, that's like, I mean, like Tom Hanyadi's like, that's nothing. That's nothing, boy. Yeah. No, I was at a pub quiz and Beatles tribute night, and the DVD copy of Anthology went straight away. The first raffle that went, someone took it, and I'm like, fuck, there's another fan here.
What were the other prizes?
Well, I had to go to the toilet, and I was like, Danny, I'm trusting you that you know what to get if my number comes up. And he's not the biggest Beatles fan, but he knew, he was loyal to my needs, and my ticket was called out whilst I was in the toilet, and he got me the Anthology CD set instead.
All three?
Which was all three.
Good lad.
So for a £2 ticket, not bad at all, if you ask me. So, but yeah, my plugs. I'm going to get through it now before I digress again. Check me out, Paul or Nothing or Paul McCartney Podcast on whatever search engine is still going, whether Spider-Man uses it or not. You can always drop me an email, say hello, warn me about a future album, or pick me up on one of my controversial reviews of a previous album at paulmccartneypod@gmail.com. Follow me on the Twitter, which is @McCartneyPod. I do a little blog where I release blog posts and articles that I can't quite fit into episodes, or it's a place for me to write episodes for the future. I've just released one on a single disc Egypt Station and an article on multi-part or 2-part, 3-part McCartney songs. That's been really fun to put all of that together. Find me on YouTube and Facebook with all the same methods, Paul McCartney Pod or Paul McCartney Podcast, Paul or Nothing, blah, blah, blah. And finally, you can always check out the Patreon, which is patreon.com/McCartneyPod. I'm sure Ethan will take all the time in the world to put all those links down below on both episodes. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me.
Now it's my turn to plug myself.
Yeah, definitely.
If you've liked this episode, check out the YouTube channel, or if you prefer, we're now on Spotify, iTunes, probably iHeart Radio by the time this gets posted, Podbean, all of them, wherever good podcasts are heard, and some not so good ones. Yeah. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on iTunes, please rate 5 stars.
Smash that like button,
Smash
folks.
that notification bell.
Leave Ethan a 5-star review. Maybe even write something nice, like I did on my break at work. So.
Oh, you wrote me something nice.
Yes, you will. You should be able to see the review.
I don't check iTunes, so I will have to check iTunes.
Oh, there's no greater rub of your own vanity than checking out your own iTunes reviews. I had an ex that I broke up with, and either her or one of her family went onto my iTunes and went, "Really good podcast. Shame he couldn't put as much effort into his relationships. 1 star."
Fuck. Oh.
And that's not even my most embarrassing Paul McCartney story, but I can't tell you that one on air, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. You can go home now.
Bands on the Run is produced by Ethan Alexanian. Additional voiceovers by Richard Phillip. This has been a Showtown production.